Today on Ask This Old House. I'm headed to Philadelphia to install a sump pump that works even when the power doesn't.
The railing is very wobbly. It's rusted at the bottom, in the middle, and the very top, and it's about to fall off. I'm really worried that someone's going to get hurt.
I'm going to fix this rusty, rotted railing. And we'll ask, what is it? Well, I use the blue for my face. Yeah. And I use the red for my legs. That's next on Ask This Old House.
7 years ago, I bought my dream house right outside Philadelphia. My only problem is down in the basement. This is an old double sump pump. Every time it rains, this sump pump is running day and night. Very loud. It sounds like a monster in the basement. A hurricane came through, knocked out all the power, and the whole basement was flooded. I had no idea how to fix this. Plumbing and electricity is not my thing.
Charmaine, it looks like this house has been fighting water for a long time.
How do you know that?
Well, look around the perimeter of this building. You can see all the paint down low on the wall is all getting worn off. You see it? And it looks like someone has come along and put in what they call a French drain. See how the concrete's different right here? There's a trough that goes all the way around the building. Now, the water that's trying to come in through the foundation comes in through this filter fabric. That lets the water in below the concrete. Right below here is packed stone and a perforated pipe. Now, this pipe has pitch this way. And imagine the water coming in. It's going to work its way through the pipe. Comes right to here, comes to one sump pit right here. So now, you can see here's one of the pipes right here, and there's another one from the other half of the basement right there.
And that was put in before I got here.
That's right. So now the water, when it's raining, or when there's groundwater, it's going to fill this sump pit. And right back here, there's a float switch. As the water rises, it makes the float come up, and the pump comes on.
Is that like the one in my toilet?
Right. It's like a float switch that as the water rises, it makes or breaks the switch. Right. So now that comes on. Now think about this poor pump. It spends its whole life in water. It has to work really hard when it's needed. Then it sits in water again. Sooner or later, they're going to die. They break. So I could just come along, cut this out, put a new one in that plugs in. That is not going to solve what you had last week when you didn't have power.
No.
I think I have a better idea for you.
Great.
All right, why don't you unplug the 110-volt connections right there. And I'm going to loosen these stainless steel hose clamps. And once I do, I'll be able to break this connection. All right, there we go. And now, let me lift that right out. Look at what you've got in here. You actually have a pump and a backup pump built in. So the bottom pump has a float switch. It would discharge into this pipe. If it ever didn't work, there's a second float switch right here to make this work. But both of these pumps work off of 110 volts. So when you didn't have any power, you had two pumps not working. Charmaine, here is a better solution. You still will have your basic primary pump right here, made out of cast iron, working off 110 volts. It sits down in the bottom of that sump pit. There's a float switch right here. As the water level rises, you can see the float switch rises right here, makes the click, and brings the pump on. But should this pump ever stop working, either you lose power or the pump itself is broken, then you still have a backup. There's a float switch right here. Now that water level keeps rising because the first pump doesn't come on. And watch what happens. Now this switch comes up, makes the click, hear it, and it brings on this pump. But this pump is not 110 volts. This pump works off of 12 volts. It works off of a battery. So these connections come over to here to the battery. When it comes on, it'll be powered off of this. And to be sure that the battery has power when you need it, we have a trickle battery charger right here to make sure the battery is always fully charged. And this comes in a pre-plumbed unit just like this.
That's pretty cool.
It is. Now, before we go into the pit, there's some threaded connections I want to add a little Teflon tape to. Now, this is a thread sealant, and it's not sticky at all. So when you apply it, you actually want to apply it in such a way that it compresses against itself. So you're going to pull it tight enough, about 3 or 4 wraps. Okay, all right, I'm going to give you that. You're going to do some of these other threads. Here you go. So give that a try. You hold it, and you want to pull it tight. Good. Now give it a snap. Pull it enough that it snaps. Pull. Very good. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. Now, before I put it all together again, I want to show you a little device right here that's very important for a sump pump. It's called a check valve. Now, on each of these pumps, there's a check valve. If we didn't have it, think about what would happen. That pump would come on, the water leaves, goes up this pipe, and tries to go outside. When the pump shuts off, all the water that's in that pipe would come back down again. So this check valve is a one-way valve. It allows the water to go this way, but it doesn't allow it to go this way. I'll tighten up these connections, and then we can drop it in the pit. All right, Charmaine, just grab the cords. I'm going to drop this down into the pit. Fits like a glove. Now for the connection on the discharge side of our pump, we're going to use this 1.5" PVC pipe. The connection down here is going to use a hose clamp connector. But you can see that when this pipe comes up, it doesn't quite line up with our old work right there. The pump's in a slightly different location than the old one. For that, we're going to use a couple of 45-degree angle fittings. And that'll create an offset just about perfect for us to make that nice straight pipe there. At the top, we're going to use this. This is another hose clamp connector, but this goes from 1.25", a smaller size pipe, to our 1.5" size right here. Once I've done that, we'll put the piece of pipe in and make our mark right here. And you can cut that for me. Great. Nice long strokes. Like a pro. Now, anytime you make a cut like this, you can see there's a little bit of a burr. What I like to do is to actually clean those off and to ream the inside of the pipe, make it smooth. All right, now we're ready to clean and to glue the pipe and the fittings. I'm going to clean the opposing side. Now I'll apply the glue. Push it together firmly. Hold it for about a 5 count. Perfect.
Boy, that purple stuff is pretty messy.
You know, it is. They actually made it purple to prove that people would clean their fittings. I miss the good old clear stuff, though. All right, good. Looks perfect except for that little purple stripe.
Okay.
The power for our backup pump is going to come from this. It's a deep cycle marine battery. I'm going to install this into a protective plastic box. The box goes up onto the shelf I installed. That's going to keep it up and away from any water in the basement. And now we just need to make the electrical connections. Now I'm going to connect the wires to the pump itself. Now with that, there is a positive and a negative, and that's clearly marked. So that's the positive right there. And the negative right there. Simple. All right, there's one more connection that's going to come out of the sump pit, and that's for the float switch to tell this pump to come on. And that comes right here. All right, so that is the last of our low voltage connections. So now we have a couple of line voltage connections. One is right here, the battery charger we talked about. You can see there's power going in. It's charging, and once the battery is fully charged, you'll see it with this indicator light right here. Okay. The other is the 110 volts that's going to go down to our primary pump down here. Now, let's test it. Imagine it's raining, the water's coming in through the French drain, water level rises, the float comes up, pump is on.
Oh, that's quiet.
Isn't that quiet? All right, so now let's test the backup. This thing fails, the lower one, the water continues to rise, this upper float switch now engages. All right, the pump is on, but you also can hear this really annoying siren that you can disable. And that's designed to tell you that you're in backup mode.
All right. And how long does this pump last on the battery?
Well, it really depends. If it's going to be used constantly and never shut off, it might be 4 to 5 hours. But if it runs intermittently, as they often do, you might get a full day out of it. So you now have a primary pump and a backup pump. Going to keep this place dry even when the lights are out.
Richard, thank you for coming all the way to Philadelphia and helping me get rid of the monster in the basement.
Glad we could help.
It's nice to have a little peace of mind.
Yeah, that unit comes beautifully in one kit, drops right into the sump pit, has the 110 volt and the backup. But some people actually have an existing 110 volt submersible pump like this, but they want the safety of a backup pump. Mm-hmm. So they do make this as a standalone unit, a 12 volt battery backup unit. And if you install it in the sump pit, you want to be sure that it's installed slightly higher than the existing float, so this becomes a secondary pump, not the primary pump.
Okay.
And this comes back to a battery. Now, this is the case and the controller right here, but you do have to get your own marine battery.
Really? So batteries aren't included on the battery backup system?
They're not included.
All right. But even with batteries, you're still talking about hours or maybe a day.
Yeah.
But a power outage can last longer.
Right. So you can extend your battery life by having a couple of batteries daisy-chained together, or they make even bigger marine batteries. But sooner or later, that battery could wear out. Now, they do make a pump that doesn't have any electricity, 12 volt or 110, and it runs on city water supply, pressure. So imagine the pipe is right here, and here's a float, and it's down in the sump pit. Now, when the water level rises, water will now come through this valve and come down here, and it'll turn 180 and go out this way. Mm-hmm. And as it does, look inside this cutaway right here. Here's the full city water supply going by. And as it does, it creates a vacuum or a pull. And actually pull water up and out of the sump pit right here. It'll come along and travel with the water that's going out.
Very cool. And so do you need a lot of city water going out to pull water out of the pit? Or?
Well, it's actually 1 gallon of city water will pull 2 gallons of sump water.
That is awesome. All right. So no electricity.
That's
right. So long as you have city pressure, it could, literally run forever?
That's right. And keep that finished basement finished and nice.
Very nice, Richard. Lots of different ways to tame the monster.
That's right. All right, right, guys. There are two of these, and they each have a black rubber tip right here. These happen to be red and blue. What is it?
Oh, yeah, you found them just in time, Richard.
did?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting a little shaggy here, you know, and I needed a trim.
Yeah. To talk to you about that.
Yeah, these are my razor blades.
Yeah?
What?
Yeah, my razor blades. Now, see, you guys probably use the steel ones, the sharp ones.
Yeah, for cutting hair, yeah.
Yeah, because you got stubble and that stash thing you got going there. Well, when you've got peach fuzz like me, you don't want to cut it, you just want to smooth it.
For that 5 o'clock fur that you got?
Really looks
Exactly.
good. All right, well, why two colors?
Ah, well, I use the blue for my face, but I use the red for my legs.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, that's not what they're for at all.
Muscle.
Now, me, I love to ride my motorcycle down the road. They really travel. You know, the wind through your hair, something you've never experienced, right?
I wear a
You know what I
helmet.
mean?
I wear...
It's a scooter. You've got a scooter.
This is a multi-tool for a motorcycle.
Scooter.
On that cold winter day, you know, that windshield could ice up. You don't want to have an ice maker, ice scraper, ice scraper that's really big. These are small. You can keep them in the saddlebags of your motorcycle, and you drive it, get up in the morning, and you scrape that windshield gently. You don't want to scratch it because it's not glass.
Yeah.
But the other end of the tool is life-saving.
Why?
Suppose I'm driving down the road some night, it's dark, and I go off the road and into a pond. I got to be able to get out of that motorcycle. I can break the glass, and I'm out safe.
You go into a pond with your little scooter. We'll come get you, Tom.
Motorcycle.
Kev, you're almost right. They are for the bathroom.
Thank you very much.
Everything's remote control now, right?
Sure.
Why not the water in your tub?
All right.
You just hop in the tub.
You in the tub right now? Is that right?
When you
Is that
get in
what
the
I'm
tub, it's actually perfect for that first 30 seconds, but then it gets a little hot, a little cold. You got to reach a long way. Now, with these remote controls for the water, just add a little hot, add a little cold, and I'm good
Give
for
me
an
those.
hour.
Roger, you get out of the tub.
You
Get out of
almost
the
did a
tub.
push-up. Sit-up. Almost did one sit-up.
All right, boys. This is actually a strainer for a kitchen sink that has a disposer. You don't want to have a fork or a knife fall down there when the disposer's running, get all ground up. So you just put it right here, and only food stuff goes down around the outside of it. But wait, there's more.
Really?
You can actually use this end of it as a food scraper, so the food goes right down there. Is that amazing?
Two for the price of one. Where do I get something like that?
Operators are standing by.
This is the main entrance in and out of our house, and we use it all the time, so it gets a lot of traffic. The railing here is very wobbly. It's rusted at the bottom, in the middle, and the very top, and it's about to fall off. You could fall down and break your neck. I'm really worried that these railings are going to come off and someone's going to get hurt.
All right, Margie, let's see what we have going on here. Well, you have a wrought iron railing that's set into a precast stair system. And what they do is they core a hole in the precast cement, and they set it into a mix that really holds it nice and strong. Now, one of the problems here is this mix is actually down lower than the surface of the stairs. So when it rains, the water will puddle there, and that's not good for the steel. Now, this side actually looks pretty solid. There is definitely signs of rust. But this side over here, this is pretty bad. Look down here, you can see this is all peeling. This is actually some of the paint, and it's actually some of the steel. And there's a hole right there. And I look up at the second one. Wow, that's a big hole. That's definitely gone. And that one over there, that's just broken right off.
Will we have to replace the railing?
No, I think we can repair it. Now, normally what I would do is I would cut this away with a saw, but this is so bad, I think I can break it away.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, look at that. There we go. Okay, there it goes. Now, Marge, this side is a lot more solid, so I'm just going to cut it off using my reciprocating saw and a metal cutting blade. I'm going to cut it right at the base. There's one. Okay, let's get that out of the way. You ready? The next thing I want to do is remove this piece of steel that's left in the precast. To do that, I'm going to use a hammer drill with a masonry bit. I'm going to put it in the hole. I'm going to set my depth stop because I don't want to go too deep. And I'm going to drill around the perimeter, removing that material. All right, Margie, now make sure you hold on to that drill because if it gets caught, it'll twist on you.
Okay.
All right? And then just drill as close to the pipe as you can. Straight down. Nice and straight. Yep. Okay. All right, now see if you can get over here a little bit. All right, now stop for a minute. Let me see if I can get the bottom of the post out. Oh, yeah, that's definitely rotted. The main part of your railing is actually in very good shape, except for a little bit of rust.
I'm going to clean that up with a wire brush and paint it when you're all done.
Okay, great. Now, the bottom of the posts, that's a different story. They're really rusted, and they'll have to be replaced. To do that, I went to a metal fabricating shop, and I had these made up.
Wow, I didn't know you can do that.
They'll make just about anything you want. It's a solid piece of steel that's inserted into a piece of square stock, and the square stock is the same size as your posts. So these are actually leg extensions with a dowel on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay it on here like this, cut off the bottom that's damaged, then slide the new one into position. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to prime up this raw steel right here because I don't want it to rust. Now I'm going to push the leg in and see how it fits. All right, now that's a little loose, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some bonding adhesive in there. Okay, now I'm going to push the leg right into the wet adhesive. Work it around. Put some more in. Okay, now to hold it into position, I'm going to put a rivet right there. Okay, now I'm going to take my pop rivet right here. I'm going to put it in my rivet gun, push it into the hole. When I squeeze the gun, it'll actually expand the rivet in the hole. And now we'll do the other legs just like that one. Now we want to position the railing into the holes. Now when I get it into the hole, I want you to take that level and put it on this center post so we can then plumb it up. All right, just try to keep the bubble in the middle of the lines, and I'm going to tape this side to the house to hold it into position. Okay, now how's the level look? It's got to be plumb.
Real good. Plumb right now.
It is?
Yes.
Still good?
Yes.
All right, now let it go, see if it stays. All right, that's all we need to hold it into position. Now let's do the other one.
I'm letting go.
Okay. Now all of the holes in our stairway are vacuumed and cleaned, and the railing is set into position and taped plumb so it won't move. Now I'm going to pour a little bit of water in a small bucket because I'm going to mix up some cement that's going to hold the railing into position. Now this is expanding cement, also known as hydraulic cement. Now this sets up real quick, so once I start mixing, I've got to mix it real fast. We only have about 2 to 3 minutes. I want to mix it up to the consistency so that I can pour it into the hole. And I want to make sure I don't have any dry spots, so I want to really thoroughly mix it up. It's getting there. One tip when using hydraulic cement, only mix it up in small batches. You only want to mix up what you can use right away. Okay, now this is ready. All right, now I'll start right here at the bottom. I want to make sure I force it right down into the hole to eliminate any bubbles so we don't get any gaps between the hole and the pole. Now I'm going to take a wet rag and I'm going to wipe away the excess. I also want to make sure I still leave it mounded up against the edge of the post to shed the water away. All right, now the hydraulic cement is set up, but it's not fully cured. I want you to give it a couple of days before you start pulling on that railing.
Thanks, Tom. It looks fantastic. It's going to be a lot safer for my family.
We all store a lot of stuff in our garage, from the kids' toys and bicycles, right down to garden equipment. And Chris in Arlington, Massachusetts, wrote us a letter and said his wheelbarrow was always in the way. So here's what he did about it. He affixed a cleat set off from the studs just a couple inches down low, and then a scrap piece of wood up high with a gate latch turned on its side. So now, whenever he's done with his wheelbarrow, he just wheels it into place, flips it up, sets the latch, and it is always out of the way. And Chris, for that great tip, we are going to send you an Ask This Old House t-shirt. If you've got a tip, we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor for Ask This Old House. Next time on Ask This Old House.
You're not alone. A lot of people had the same problem you did last winter, ice dams.
Well, we had really bad ones all along the back side of the house here.
Let's go upstairs and take a look.
plant a tree on a busy city street.
And we'll ask, what is it? It comes in multiple happy colors, like popsicles. It's rubber, has a big hole, a smaller hole, an even smaller hole.